Mona, you received a message, a strange and terrible vision coming in from a certain demon who you haven't been able to track down. The hacktivist, Marcus Smalls, is missing in a bolt hole, unable to be found by even your strongest fate mages. As you read this message with your mind, you experience first disbelief and fear, but then a strange sort of conviction. A sort of conviction that this message was meant for you. You feel that the story coming to you now is from a real timeline. It's from a part of the God machine. And in a way, what is coming to you now is God's voice. You sense it as it flows through you, and you gain a beat.
Woo! Also, the bear can talk.
You've never heard God's voice before, and it's almost like an echo. And you'll see what I mean here, as this is a memory of a person who has a part of an old archive. And that archive is the experiences of someone named the Pain Prophet, who is told something by a supernal entity. But everything is in some way true. It has been told to you by a demon, though, so take it with a grain of demon salt. I've sent you the story, and I'm going to have you share that out with the rest of the fools assembled. Ethel is still somewhere in the labyrinth.
Finding the other Ethels. Well, starts with the voice of the angel. From the testament of Marco Singe, the so-called Pain Prophet of New Delhi. When I was 12, my father beat me after hearing what I had done with another boy. It was as I lay on the cellar floor, feeling the blood on my back become sticky and cold, that the angel first spoke to me. She filled the air with the scent of metal and surrounded me with a circle of blue flame, and I was frightened.
How is Mona sharing this with the rest of the fools? And where are you all now?
I think we're tied in our heads.
Are your bodies in separate places?
Yeah, we
I,
didn't get a lot of warning before this started.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that I am. If there's a view screen section of the timeship that allows you to see out, outside.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think that definitely could be there. We know that the modularium has that feature. Let's say it's everywhere. You're riding the ship, you can make it happen.
Cool.
and then I'm there with Rex, and as we're talking, I'm talking to Rex about the connection of everything. This newfound mind form I find myself in, and then Rex all of a sudden jumps out and connects. My mind is connected to his, then also to Hannah's, and then I can see Wyrd coming in and Parallax, and we're, but not Ethel.
No.
And then I start to hear the same things I was hearing what Mona was saying.
I think Hannah would have been spending time with the community in the Imaginarium, kind of helping with like moving and the Imaginarium farming and kind of creating a new process with the Modularium so that food that's being created is real and kind of
Oh, so
in the space.
you have started to grow a bunch of food, is what you're saying. So you're getting seeds. Well, those are living creatures. So modularium actually can't make seeds, but you could be sampling seeds from your various adventures and just say that you pull out some seeds from the various times that Hannah's been to, like Boston.
Oh, yeah, Hannah just of course, has pockets of rocks and acorns and just stuff, but also like seed pods and just things that they've picked up.
And Hannah could also say this dandelion is now some wheat. Easy enough to make that transformation.
So what are you growing? Anything in particular?
Probably the Three Sisters crops, which is just like we've done some transformations so that there's the what is it, corn, beans, and
Wash.
yeah. And there's also just marigolds, and it's the Imaginarium. There's some pineapple plants because Hannah loves pineapple, and there's just stuff from lots of different ecosystems growing. There's like cactuses, and then there's like Edelweiss from the Alps, like just
Are these
shouldn't grow
all
together,
in
but
spot?
does.
Oh, okay. What if there are these separate ecosystems, and then where Hannah is sort of like a fusion ecosystem in the center of all of them?
And a spiraling out pattern. They all kind of merge and then come together in the center. And that's where Hannah likes to hang out. Yeah. And is trying to do some like cross uh like seed breeding programs and like trying to evolve new things. And then suddenly their head is full of voices. Is that what's happened? Rex is like, hey, incoming transmission.
I think so. It is almost like you can see it in front of you. It's more than just voices. As the angel speaks to the person Marco Singh in the visions, you can hear the angel's voice. It's got all of these different tones to it. It's across all these different spectrums. And it, of course, says, Trevor, if you wouldn't mind picking.
Sure. Don't be afraid, she told me. I have come to speak to you, and through you. At the command of the God Machine, you shall hear my words and know them to be true. Her voice was like the notes of a flute, and their vibrations calmed my fear. And that was how I learned this secret history of the world.
And so your characters can take actions if you'd like to interrupt the story at any point. This is the first story that I ever read from the Chronicles of Darkness. It was called World of Darkness back then. It was the first blue book. It was the first book of Chronicles of Darkness before Mage existed. Had this story in it. They have since expanded it out into a full God Machine Chronicle, but there's a lot of things here. They are loosely true in our lore now.
Well, Mona's like already mad because the God Machine is talking to this other angel. And it's like, I've been begging to talk to you and you won't even talk to me. And this angel is like, I have, a note from the God Machine for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Parallax is pretty razzled. He was like mid conversation with some serious thing with Alora, trying to probably one of many conversations they've been having about the nuances of the whole now mage world that she's a part of and how she needs to be careful. And all of a sudden, just mid sentence, almost this sort of thing pops in and just interrupts me, completely gets me razzled. No idea what's going on. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. There's just like these really weird things that happen. You got to be on your toes at all times. And this is surprise.
Are you sharing the story with Laura as you experience it?
I don't even know what the experience is. I guess when it comes to me, I guess I also just speak it out loud, sort of just to keep my thoughts straight. So maybe she can give some feedback as well.
And why don't we just start reading a little bit through? And if you have a thing, feel free to jump in, as I said before. But we're going to go clockwise around the screen, which is the order posted in the chat.
So then, as it comes to me, as it comes to the writer, 0.1 seconds stereo behind Rex. As Rex is saying the words out loud, I mimic like a microsecond behind in real time. The God Machine built our world as a resting place for its first children, whom men called angels or ancient ones. After a time, the ancients desired servants to dwell with them. The servants who walked upright and had pleasing shapes and who could speak. They sent the proper prayer signals to the God Machine, who were granted leave to do so. First, the ancient ones took the beasts of the field and granted them knowledge to speak and walk. But these animals retained their wildness and did not make good servants. They grew wicked and violent and were cast into the wilderness. They were the second children, who men called demons.
I think Wyrd is like composure 5 pushing into 6 territory, so it takes a lot to get her flustered, but the fact that there's an abyssal entity just sort of roaming around loose in the ship has got her leaning towards the freaked out side. So she's going to be in a central room somewhere with a bunch of vid windows open, scrying on all the fools to make sure everybody's safe, because that's kind of her role when the signal comes in. So the ancients called new servants into being and commanded them to spread across the face of the earth. And these were the third children called mankind. And mankind served the ancients in peace and contentment. Mankind knew not death then. Those whose bodies became worn and aged were sent to sleep in the shadow of the earth and returned after a time, restored to health and youth.
And it's just laid out. Enjoying the story so far. The ancients commanded their servants to build a great city, a city so vast that a child setting out to walk its length would be an old man before reaching the other side. Calling on the power of the God Machine, the ancient ones raised their city into the dome of the sky, fixing it at the place where the orbit of the moon crossed the orbit of the sun. And in the city, they placed a third of mankind to serve them as vassals and slaves. Anna bristles at that part.
God Machine sounds a lot like the Catholic God who created man and created fire, light, let there be light, that kind of God. In the city of the ancients, man lived closer to the first children than ever before, and some of the men began to wonder, why do the ancients spend their days in rest while we must toil without relief? Why do the ancients enjoy the pleasures of this city when it is our labor that built it? And so resentment rose among the third children. They made the proper calculations and sent the prayer signals to the coordinates of the God Machine, saying, "We are your children too. It is not right that we be enslaved. Will you not look on us with favor?" And they received this answer in bare voice, "What rises must fall, and what has fallen may rise again."
Men of the city debated for 7 years. Finally, they decided that it was the will of the God Machine that they raise themselves from slavery. Determined to kill the ancients and take their place as the favored of the God Machine, the men of the city plotted carefully. When the time came, they fell upon the ancient ones in their sleep, murdering them with their own weapons and devices in a single night of betrayal.
And they murdered angels?
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Go for it. The writer is becoming aware of the story as they speak it. Slowly is also it's revealing at the same time. The streets of the celestial city ran red with blood. A great cry rose up from the earth, and the mountain shook, and the skies were filled with storms. The ancients struck back at their servants, but too late! Just 8 of the Ancient Ones survived. As they fled, they cried out, "We are undone. Our time is over. But while our time was long and joyous, yours shall be short and painful." And they became known as the Furies.
I wanted to grab some cake and say hi to Joey who just walked in. I'll be right back. I just heard death cake. Be right back.
Let's take a short bio break, fam, and we'll jump back in on the next paragraph.
Cake sounds good.
Oh, cake does sound good. I want to take a snack.
I think I know where that death cake is from.
Right,
Joey,
The Death
Boston. There's like this place. It's like a death cafe where it's a place where it's like not taboo to talk about death. It might be from there, and it's like you have tea and cake and you just talk about death.
Talk about death. Just classic death cafe. No big deal. A Morris mage would love a death cafe, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We should tell Victoria.
Cake. Cake from a death cafe, and it's death cake.
Oh, so it was actually legit death cake from a death cafe.
Yeah, it's where it's a social gathering specifically to talk about topics related to death. You talk with like death doulas and grief counselors and things. Joe's running one, we're co-running one, and they had a bunch of cake, and it's like a type of recipe. They called it West Virginian death cake or funeral cake. I don't know. But yes, it is death cake, and I'm going to eat some, and it feels tasty.
Interesting.
Death cake, yay?
I googled death cake, and there's so many recipes about death by chocolate cakes.
Oh.
They all look really good.
Yeah, West Virginia funeral cake. It's like spiced chocolate cake.
If we're ready to jump back in.
Wyrd, just who she is, understands that there's power in stories. And this is definitely a story. So she's gonna just cast a warning gesture.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure everybody's fate is not going to be altered.
You feel with your fate magic, in fact, everyone with fate magic, which is everyone, now feels like this thing is sort of like the drop in the roller coaster. This story, with every word you hear, is setting something in motion, but it doesn't feel like someone else is changing your destiny. It's sort of like Mona. I would say we don't need to roll for this. Anyone who gets a certain number of successes and then shared through the mind link, you really feel like it's Mona that is the ballast pulling all of you down on this roller coaster. Something's happening, and something's happening with the God Machine.
The first Fury was named Silence and fled to the center of the sun. It cursed mankind to forget the art of speaking to and receiving the signals of the God Machine.
Second Fury was named Death and fled to the hidden side of the moon. It cursed mankind to forget the way back from the shadow of the earth.
The third Fury was named Torment and fled to the star Venus. It cursed mankind to be split into two beings, with man and woe man, each imperfect and forever seeking its opposite. Not all the time.
The fourth Fury was named Fear and fled beneath the highest mountain on the earth. It cursed mankind to be hated and dreaded by all the beasts and birds and fish and all creatures everywhere.
Of the other 4 surviving Ancient Ones, nothing here can be said, for they chose to withhold their curses until such a time as they saw fit.
And then the city of the ancients shook to its foundations. The men marveled at what happened, but could not stop it. The city was loosened from the moorings that held it to the firmament. The men cried out in horror, rushing to flee the city before it crashed to earth. Some set upon roads of light that the ancients had built and became lost among the stars. Some reached the silver-sailed boats and descended safely, but many were trapped within the city and screamed their last as it fell. And when the city crashed and sank beneath the waves, the world shook. The sun hid its face, and everywhere people were afraid.
And here the angel paused, regarding me with 100 eyes. Fear not these words I speak to you, for the news I bear is this. The God machine has not turned its eye from your home. What has fallen may rise again. The third children shall have their chance to achieve what they once desired, but the way will not be easy. The first children are set in judgment over you, and the second children seek to trap you. It is their workings that take your world through its turnings.
The angel then bade me to warn mankind of the hidden forces that seek to thwart the destiny of this third children. Their handiwork appears again and again throughout history. Regard the mighty Sphinx of Egypt. Recent study of the water erosion on its rocky surface indicates that the monument dates back to the days when the Sahara was green and lush. For older than the pyramids it guards, the Sphinx comes from a time close to the fall of the ancients. The second children roamed freely through the world then, greater than man in power and knowledge. The demons shaped primitive man into a civilization that revered them as gods, but their hubris was against the will of the God machine, and they failed. The great civilizations of Egypt, Sumer, and Babylonia rose later from the dim memories of that failure, revering gods with the forms and features of beasts.
The Egyptians called the proto-kingdoms that preceded them the first time, or the Age of Osiris. They considered it the source of all wisdom and knowledge. The pyramids and surrounding structures, built to mirror the locations of the constellation of Orion and other celestial objects, with the Nile representing the Milky Way, was essentially a vast time machine used to teach the pharaohs how to swim upstream against time and return to the Osirian Age. By understanding the layout of these structures, the pharaoh of any era could visualize the location of a secret chamber that would grant him access to a bygone age.
Somewhere beneath the Sphinx, that chamber awaits discovery. The cults of the second children protect the Sphinx from a distance, inhibiting attempts to uncover it completely, preventing further exploration of its tunnels. When their own servants discern its location, the second children will enter the chamber and attempt to recreate the world that slipped from the grasp so long ago.
I asked about the four Furies who withheld their curses on the night of the murder. Some of them dwell beneath the earth, the angel told me, and wait for the permutations of the God machine before they unleash their wrath. One of them, upon fleeing from the celestial city, came to rest in what is now the continent of Australia. Touching down in the desert, the ancient was certain it would remain hidden from man, and so it laid itself down to rest and heal its wounds.
The Ancient One did not realize how widespread the tribes of mankind had become. No sooner did the Ancient close its eyes than natives of that land crept close to gaze upon the being that had fallen from the sky. They were a people skilled in reading dreams, and their magicians peered into the mind of the sleeping Ancient. They saw that this visitor held a deep and bitter hatred for mankind, and they saw the awful curse it prepared to unleash.
The people grew afraid. They had no weapons mighty enough, no warriors powerful enough to slay one of the ancients. All they had were songs and stories, and so they whispered, and sang in low voices until they had woven a careful dream that deepened the Ancient One's slumber, stilling its anger and quieting its thirst for revenge. And the magicians covered the angel with soil, piling it higher and higher. When they were done, they changed the mound to stone, calling it Uluru.
And the Ancient One, hearing the stories and the dream songs of the natives, was pleased. It made a pact with them, agreeing to stay its wrath and share with them stories of how they and their world were created. But if the people stopped telling the stories and stopped singing the dream songs, the Ancient would awaken and unleash its curse. So today, the Aboriginal Anangu people continue the songs and rituals laid down by their ancestors. Uluru remains a place of great power, where spirits gather and strange energy flows. The government of Australia has ceded management of the surrounding land to the Anangu rather than try to deal with reports of lights in the sky, fluctuating magnetic fields, and unusual animals.
Of all the people of the earth, it was those who came to dwell on the South American continent who carried with them the greatest knowledge of their time in the city of the Ancient. Their journey from the fallen city to what would become their home took many generations, and some understanding was lost. But they remembered much and built mighty civilizations, rediscovering and developing the arts of writing, mathematics, astronomy, and farming. The children of this group became the Z, and the children of the Mayans, Incas, Toltecs, and Aztecs. As their various tribes, city-states, and empires rose and fell, secrets of the ancients were spread, and understanding became more common.
Yet that knowledge would be their downfall. At the bottom of the world, one of the ancients watched. It saw that the elite among the cultures of the sun were close to mastering the star rites, the rituals of becoming, which opened holes in time and changed men to gods. It is not right for the third children to become luminous ones, the ancient said, and begged permission of the god machine to deliver its curse. The god machine transmitted, "You may speak your curse, but let it be but a whisper, for I desire that secrets be only hidden, not destroyed." So the ancient took the name Strife and sent its voice far across the world to a ship in the South Atlantic, where a pilot dozed at the wheel.
"Steer south," the Ancient One whispered. "Steer south." Half awake, the sailor turned the wheel and the course of an entire fleet of ships was altered. Shortly after, a storm hit and the ships were battered. They were blown south to the island of Cozumel. From there, the fleet's commander, Hernando Cortez, led his soldiers to the mainland and the eventual conquest of the Aztec nation. The fall of the Aztecs, sooner than might otherwise have happened, allowed a rush of European colonization that doomed the native cultures.
But all was not lost. Despite the best efforts of the conquerors, some of the ancient traditions of Mesoamerica were secretly preserved by the conquered and are honored today by their descendants. The 20 calendars of the Maya, the Incan skulls of wisdom, and the Toltec maps of the Black Sun, for those who are diligent and wise, the formulas to step outside time can be pieced together from these. I asked the angel if mankind will ever hear the voice of the God machine again, or if it is truly lost to us.
Angel explained that with the discovery of the electromagnetic spectrum, mankind took its first halting step towards communication with the God machine. For electromagnetic waves are the shadows of the voice of the God machine. They are the edge of something that can only be fully understood in more than 3 dimensions. The Mayan high priests call them the branches of Ceiba, or the Tree of Life. In 1870, more than 20 years before the Marconi demonstrated his famous wireless, British inventor and scientist David Hughes crafted a device capable of sending and receiving wireless electromagnetic messages. He did not reveal his invention to the world, however, because he believed he'd stumbled upon something more important than the invention itself. When he first turned on the receiver, signals were already being sent.
Oh my gosh. I think Mona is like, I should just call the machine god. I should just call him.
What? Call it.
You do think that you could send a signal to the
Yeah,
machine god. The
yeah.
question is if one would return to you.
I know. I called the Prince of a Thousand Leaves before. Like, I can call constantly.
Electromagnet. Hughes was a mathematician and a musician. To his keen ears, it seemed clear that sounds he heard were not random, but some kind of encoded pattern. He spent 7 years trying to interpret what he heard. Hughes made little progress until he showed a curious friend a diagram he made to represent the pattern of signals he studied. To the surprise of both men, Hughes's friend had seen the pattern before at the British Museum of Natural History. The next day, Hughes visited the museum. He saw an exhibit of stone carvings taken from Mayan temples dating back to the first centuries of the Common Era.
After several more years and copious correspondence with experts around the world, Hughes was convinced that he could translate at least part of the message that awaited him when he first activated his machine. He confided to his friends and colleagues that he would soon have a spectacular announcement to make. But he died 3 days before the event. Following the directives of his recently rewritten will, his attorney removed all references to the mysterious signals from Hughes' notes and records. Aside from the comments and testimonies of those who knew Hughes, the only extant references left is among the final pages of his diary.
Long and painful hours, months, years have brought me to this, but a small fraction of a greater whole made finally clear to my understanding. And yet these few words I cannot bear to hear. Let them reach no other ears. Let what is fallen remain fallen.
In the century since his death, some of Hughes' notes have come to light. In the early 1950s, a group of amateur shortwave radio operators claimed that Hughes had not only decoded the signals, but had left diagrams of a machine that would reply to the code. Though no one could locate the signals Hughes described, instructions for building Hughes' responders were widely circulated, and hundreds of the machines were believed to have built since. They continually transmit automated sequences of numbers, words, tones, music, and other sounds, much to the consternation of governments and commercial broadcasters worldwide. Also known as number stations, the devices transmit today and can be heard on conventional shortwave receivers. According to Hughes' apocryphal statements, their intended recipient is the ruler of Mictlan, the Mayan Tartarus. What Hughes believed would happen when the proper signal was received is not known.
What of the second children? I asked the angel. Do they ever make their presence known to mankind? Their influence is widespread and insidious, the angel said.
As the premier political power on the American continent, the United States acquired much of the secret knowledge that had been plundered by Europeans in South America. Its capital city was laid out according to geometric principles of Aztec cities, such as Tenochtitlan, as interpreted by European Freemason architects. The lines of the streets are oriented to channel energy from the earth. Numbered and lettered boulevards allow power to be ritualistically directed for various purposes. The result has allowed a country of farmers and immigrants to grow into the most powerful nation on Earth.
In 1898, a cabal of government officials, wealthy industrialists, and media moguls triggered the Spanish-American War as a way to gain influence over Cuba and possess certain pre-Columbian artifacts located there. The most notable of these was a fragment of one of the Black Sun maps of the Toltecs. America's secret government was capable of translating a part of the map, which enabled it to contact and entreat with one of the second children, a demon who agreed to perform certain services in exchange for blood sacrifice.
I think Hannah shivers at the mention of blood sacrifice after what we've been through. But for the most valuable service of all, complete translation of the map fragment, America's patron demanded tribute on a scale beyond the capacity of its clients to provide. So the secrets of the Black Sun remained unspoken for decades. Then, as the 20th century approached its midpoint, the requisite knife of flame revealed its presence at last. The enigma of atomic fire was unlocked, and the world's first nuclear device was created. On the 16th of July, 1945, the weapon was tested in Alamogordo, New Mexico. Its purpose was ritualistically sanctified with the chant, "I am become death, destroyer of worlds." Weeks later, the detonations in Japan satisfied the demonic contract, and in exchange, the meaning of the Black Sun map fragment was revealed. Ugh. And what was the secret of the map? I asked the angel.
To the Toltec people, it was a warning, she said, but in modern times, it has become an irresistible lure. On May 25, 1961, U.S. President John Kennedy declared before Congress an imperative for the nation to achieve a successful landing on the moon before the end of the decade. What was not announced publicly was the true reason for the project. The elite faction operating behind America's corridor of power now had a translated version of the Toltec map fragment, which revealed a detailed topography of the lunar surface. Most importantly, it contained an atlas of the moon's so-called dark side, as well as a comprehensive description of what lay entombed there.
The American Apollo missions were so named to curry favor with the various sun deities who were in fact aliases for the second children. Publicly, it was Apollo 11 that first put man on the moon, but in fact, American astronauts began exploring the lunar surface as early as the 1968 Apollo 8 mission. Apollo 10 confirmed the location of what the Toltecs called the Crypt of the Butterfly. By Apollo 15, the outer vault was cracked, and it was 1972's Apollo 17, the final manned lunar mission to date, that brought back what classified documents referred to as Packet Theta.
The angel has warned me that the relic brought back from its receptacle on the moon has the potential to be much more devastating than any atomic weapon. What was retrieved was the skeletal form of one of the ancient ones. Amazing. Specifically, the very being that pronounced the curse of mortality upon humanity as the portal through which death itself entered our universe. Wow. It was changed into a thing, neither dead nor alive. Those who learn to control it, as its current jailers seek to do, will exert ultimate power over the tides of life and death.
With each passing day, dark forces come closer to gaining that power. Those who seek must unify and stand against them. Our world needs warriors of light, defenders of life, seekers of truth to thwart their wishes. The God machine waits. The angel has shown me how. I can teach you. We are fallen, but we might rise again.
All right, I got a lot of questions. I feel like I gotta talk to Mona real quick. Like, we need to rally. There's a lot of things that just happened. Like, where did that message come from? Like, I sort of like grab Alora by the hand, and we're gonna head to. I don't know where Mona is, but they're gotta be nearby.
I think Wyrd might be a little step ahead of you and should convene everybody like there's a galley or some sort of a community eating space in the ship.
Perfect.
So we'll just warp everybody there
Let's head there.
using a legacy attainment.
Yeah, as
So,
you use your teleportation inside the ship, you find something strange about the space here. This space is not. It has the form of space, but it's more of a construct than it is a true space. You'd say that it's closer to an astral or true supernal projection of a thing. And I'm not going to make you roll because we're not doing rolls today, really. It's mostly for you to meet up and chat. I think that what you can tell with space magic is you can teleport people out of most of the rooms, but some spaces will actually be problematic to try to use space magic in and out of.
okay.
But
House
people
meeting.
can quickly get to a place where they can teleport to house meeting.
I think Hannah immediately asks Mona, like, Mona, are you ancient? Where did that message come from? And are you a new ancient one? Are you an ancient one reborn? And why is there more?
I have no clue how I'm an angel. I was born like less than 30 years ago. I am not ancient. You should look at me with your life mage, because maybe I have ancient within me. And does that mean that I have the power to like take death away? If an angel put that in the world?
Hannah, you already knew that Mona was weird, but now as you look at her, you can tell that she's a synthetic life form. She's been designed.
Wait, by designed.
It's like Battlestar Galactica.
Have I seen that before? Like clone, like built in a lab designed, or like too
You've never met a
perfect? This
clone.
is not organically.
Oh, it's definitely organic. 100% organic. But it's so perfect.
So unnatural organic.
I'm a cyclone.
Mona, you're perfect.
Thanks, I know.
No, like unnaturally perfect. Like you are not what naturally occurs in nature. Does that make sense? I mean, it doesn't make sense because I don't know how that's possible, but it is. It's happened.
Is it because I'm an angel? Are angels perfect? Kidding.
Mona, are you one of the Furies?
Uh, not that I know of. Maybe I'm one of the hidden ones. I don't know. How is this even possible? Am I not me? Am I not Mona? Do I have an ancient angel as inside me? I don't know. Mona's gonna pinch themselves.
Yeah, it hurts. But the other thing is that you can't really get readings on those questions super good through your, oh, get him, acknowledgement of truth. Like you can feel things that are true, and there is something happening. You are somehow an angel. It's so true. You do think that you're an ancient one. It feels right. You
Which
don't quite feel like a fury, but it sounds like it connects somehow. You can feel it tying in. There's something about it.
what's my name? What's my angel name?
I have a question. Can we trace where that message came from?
It's so strange because mages haven't seen demon powers like this. But the hacktivist has an ability where they can go undetected, completely off the grid of reality. And so, no, there's no way to find them, even with fate magic. It's like they don't exist in this moment. It's called a bolt hole.
So the Prince of 100,000 Leaves wasn't a demon.
Was a demon.
Was a demon.
Was a
Was
demon.
a second child.
Yes.
He was like a manifestation of the abyss realm.
Yes. I think that the group would understand that there is a difference between the second children originally and what demons are now. There's many different types of demons, and they're definitely connected. Second children and these abyssal hosts that you've been hunting are connected. Whether they are the second children, you feel like it's more complicated than that. It's not a one-to-one mapping.
Do you think I have a curse like within me?
I don't know, but don't say anything curse-like, just in case.
I won't, because you know what? This angel likes the third children. I have no qualms with myself.
Thanks, Mona.
Do we have any evidence that this conjecture is a true statement of reality, or
You've reached a point where truth is subjective. What Parallax and Mona would be able to put together is that this was true reality in the timeline that the hacktivist came from. Everything the angel says is true. And through Mona's voice, through high speech, you can all hear that it's true too.
But we don't know if it's still true in the reality that we now have.
story aside, the idea that Mona's an angel, like I'm missing. I feel like I'm missing something. Where did that come from?
Oh, I am an angel. Check these out. Mona releases her wings. Whoosh. Yeah. How do I know I'm an angel? Because I talked to angels. That was my second awakening, right?
Yeah, when they drowned you in the lake and then you talked to the angel in the sun, which, if you read through the story, there is an angel in the sun. Wyrd. Are you using any mage sites in particular?
Yeah, given the interactions we're having, I don't think she would put it on right now because it takes her focus away from the present. Okay, so if you are one of the first children, just because you like us now, like, doesn't necessarily mean that you're not a danger to the world, right? It's possible with mind magic to, overwrite your mind.
Totally. And I belong in a group called the Fools, so I could be very dangerous.
Yeah.
I just haven't been activated yet.
Right.
Yeah, you could have hid yourself so well that you couldn't find yourself until now.
Yeah, I mean, I became an angel or unlocked my angel part or awakened the angel inside me when I was awakening myself.
You do feel like the more awakened you've gotten, the more you've realized your angelic truth.
When I was awakening, I was talking to silence, and I'm pretty sure I could see death and torment and fear all looking at me. I remember all their eyes upon me. I need to go back to that recording and listen to what they said to me. I don't remember. That's fascinating.
Were you saying that all the Furies at one point were together, like conspiring sort of against you, or at least trying to relay some info to you?
Yeah.
Do you happen to remember where they may have been?
In my second awakening, I climbed a tower. And I climbed the tower out of the Earth's atmosphere.
If the story's true, we know where some of them are.
Yeah,
Ooh,
we could visit the tallest mountain. We could go visit the moon.
yeah, in the world that we have now, did NASA bring back an angel or is it still on the moon?
You feel, so you've just reset the timeline and it churns beneath you.
Mona, one, I don't think we should let our corporate capitalist world have control over death. That sounds real bad. Hate that. As much as I'm all about life, I don't think turning the dial on death is a good thing. I don't trust the people who have that if they have it. Two, we could maybe talk to one of your siblings.
Oh my gosh, I guess we are related. Oh, I have siblings.
They're also very scary, so we're gonna do it really nicely.
Like 8 of them.
And we can have family dinner.
Who watched our ancestors murder everyone else.
Yeah,
They may
these
not
guys
be
are.
too chitty chatty.
Well, they sounded kind of like jerks.
I mean, they remind me sort of akin to like the Four Horsemen. I mean, just not essentially evil, but the manifestation of all awful things.
No, it was very rooted in vengeance.
Calamity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that there's a moment where you're saying that, Parallax, when all of you, through this shared mind bond, feel through space and time, everything becomes one small point. And then Mona opens her eyes, and there's Ethel.
Ah.
She's standing there, figures standing around you. In this blank void, you feel that the angels are more than just vindictive beings. In fact, they have no feelings in some ways at all. The angels are deep, deep truths here in this world.
Wait, something happened to Ethel. She had a really fancy dress at one point, but I don't remember what caused it.
Yeah, Ethel is death. Maybe Ethel is also an angel. What if Ethel was Fury?
Was
What if
Ethel on the
Ethel
moon?
came from the moon? Am I right?
Uh,
But Ethel has like a really also long history. Like we've met her grandmother and how
yeah, I
can
don't
it be
think they're
gold?
a Fury. I think that what was that thing called?
Linchpin of reality.
I mean, in a sense, but they refer to death like the shadow of the earth. Maybe in a
The
way,
shadow.
yeah. Maybe she's sort of like the point between Earth and the shadow of it. I don't know.
The shadow is a very compelling word, of course, to the writer.
The dark side of the moon. Must be careful with you. It's much sway over the beings that I once was. And the fury Finland. Oh, fury.
You mentioned where you got this message from.
It was transmitted to me by the demon on the ship, the hacktivist.
The abyssal entity.
Ah,
But, you know, it seemed cool.
uh, I mean, reliable narrator. So he's transmitting this other story. He's got to want something though. Like he's a demon, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
like a demon, like a second child demon,
Oh, yeah, must
or
be.
something.
Second child. What do the second children want?
But there's definitely something abyssal about this individual, right?
Yes.
So
Maybe the second child.
sort of in a supernal truth kind of way, abyssal entities exist to unmake reality. That's what they want to do. It's a gross oversimplification, and there's a lot of different shades to all that, but at the heart of it, every abyssal entity wants to unmake reality. It's what they're driven to do. And maybe it's not even intentional. It's
does
sort of
kind of jive what the hacktivist has personally told you. They do want to stop the God Machine, which
That's true.
stop the God Machine and unmake reality are.
It was very convincing, honestly. Which
You'll have to meet them one day.
it's crazy for me to say, because I worship the God Machine. But the more and more I learn about the God Machine, the more, I mean, when I talked to the hacktivist, the more it made sense that, like, it's a flawed machine.
well, I mean, people talk about love and hate being opposites, right? But it's not true. Indifference is worse in a lot of ways than overt cruelty. And I think that's what this God Machine seems to radiate. That's what I got from the story. The God Machine just doesn't care what happens to any of the things that have been created around it.
Right.
I think it cares about continuity though, in some ways. It had all those secrets, and it like one of the only times it actually intervened was like, no, don't destroy the secrets, just hide them. So there's definitely like a things must continue, but I'm not sure the God Machine cares about who's on top.
Okay, so next steps. Assuming we want to find one of these angels, is that what we're kind of leaning towards?
I think it's a good idea.
I think we should go to.
Well, but I'm thinking there's a couple ways to do that. Like one is to go to the moon. It's certainly something that's within our power, but you've encountered them in the past at the edge of the Temenos, right?
Yes, I have encountered them before.
So that might be a less personal, physical, risky way to test some waters before we actually put ourselves in their physical power. I'm just throwing that out as an idea. Whatever you guys want to do, I'm 100% there to support you.
I mean, if NASA could bring back an angel on a spaceship, I think that we'll be able to interact with it. I mean, does anyone know if NASA has a packet of, I mean, pretty cool mages on their space missions?
Yeah.
Oh. Well,
so I guess would it be pentacle mages or would they be seers?
So you know that it absolutely would probably have been the seers or the pentacle. They're very active in the US. You feel the weight of time and space around you. You can feel it bending and moving. You are here in this moment, but you feel like the wheel was there before, and you are the wheel, and the wheel turns. You know it's inconsequential whether they were seers or Diamond Order mages that were on the moon. You feel that they, whoever they are opposed to the fools, you and to your freedom.
Seems to be a powerful organization of authoritarian mages. In most timelines, this one, it seems as well. Took the angels from the moon, and so they probably would be interested in doing that again in this timeline. Even they might use magics to thwart our attempts to do such a thing, even throughout time. So hard to say. It's very blurry, but it seems like I can see them interacting with all aspects of time. When it comes to this angel in the moon, they really want it, and they're against our freedom. They very much want things to be stagnant and controlled.
Well, that's my favorite thing.
Yeah,
We should
freedom.
give them a bad day.
Yeah.
If we're going to the moon and we're going to meet Mona's sibling, we're in a time machine. Like, we could just pick a time between when the angel would have been there, which is a very long time ago, and when mages were first going to the moon, which is not as long. We might just have to not worry about them
That's a good point.
if that's what we're trying to do.
Well,
But
that's an option. So, yeah, that's option A. Option B, like Wyrd said, we could potentially go and visit those angels that conversation that Mona had, and relive it, visit it, or revisit that conversation. I think reasonable. We could all go there at the same time, like in the film that I've enjoyed, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. You just go and visit the same spot that you previously were in.
it blows my mind that you are adapting so well to so many things so quickly that are just hundreds of years. Like, just, you're
Yeah.
so cool.
Yes. I'm trying to take in the whole aspect of reality.
There's nothing you can't do.
Are we going to, but what are we trying to do? So this demon shared with us a story that's piqued our interest to want to go talk to these angels, but what does he want?
But they shared for their own motivations.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to convince us to go to the moon for a reason.
And they did reveal that there was sort of like a quote unquote super weapon on the moon. Granted, it was probably, what they say, it was a relic in the form of a skeletal form of an ancient one. So
Right,
is
but
it
the
like,
story said they recovered it though too, right?
man,
They could control life and death, which you don't want NASA or the
but if we're
chemicals
careful,
or seers or whoever to get their hands on that. Like, we absolutely don't want that. It is
if we're
I agree.
If we are very careful, we can go back to before NASA grabbed that relic and see for ourselves what it was. The story seemed to indicate that there was an intelligence there.
Yeah, one of the skeletal forms of one of the ancient ones. So their remains. Well, they're grave robbing, but I don't think the ancient ones, I don't know if they die necessarily.
Well, it talked about when they opened up the gate to allow death in, I think. That's what caused them to transform.
As the portal through which death itself entered our universe, it was changed into a thing neither dead nor alive.
By opening this portal, they became in a state of undead, or like undead, which looks like a skeleton problem.
So, in what year AD would you like to be? And just for the reference, the timeline that you are now in is the timeline that you have reset through antics and is now just the same as the previous timeline, except that Hannah's mother, Ethel's mother, do not exist. because they were on the time ship, and they were the ones who programmed that reality. And so when you left without them, they were unmade. And so their actions will not have happened. But in theory, that hasn't changed the timeline super much. Or, just like with Salem, maybe there have been massive ripples.
That means I could still meet my dad.
Yeah, it does.
Can we go visit those other the conversation between Lana and those angels?
I also think ultimately we're going to have to, I don't know, it feels weird to say, but put on our God machine hats and keep a secret, at least for the time being, keep that undead ancient one's place hidden and not findable in some new way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is ultimately the best thing to do. I don't know how the hacktivist plans would play into us interacting with it. I don't know what it wants us to do.
Yeah, we gotta find the hacktivist, as well as Ethel.
Yeah, I do feel pretty confident saying that whatever the hacktivist wants to have happen will not be good for us.
Yes, agreed. So
We'll
whatever the
get them out
hacktivist
here.
wants, and then NASA getting and whoever getting their control over that ancient one, also bad.
Oh,
Hopefully doing that isn't a good, I don't want to do what feels like the right thing to do, and also that be what the hacktivist wants us to do, because then maybe it's not the right thing to do.
I just had a really bad idea.
Yes.
We no, this is a terrible, terrible idea.
Yes. You know why they call us the fools, right?
You'll never expect it.
We can't find the hacktivist because he's basically got being an abyssal entity, he's got sort of an anti-fate around him. He doesn't interact with fate the way we would. So we can't find him with supernal means. I can't believe I'm saying this. What if we were to summon an abyssal entity that might be able to track him down? This is such a bad idea.
Oh.
I mean, it's a little like, drowning your fire with gasoline.
That will go.
I mean, sure, you might put out the original flame, but now you've got a whole big inferno to deal with.
I mean, you could also follow the 5-step method of learning its name, what it wants.
Hard to do when we can't find it.
Well, he did give us a clue. Maybe it's getting rid of death.
Oh wait, he did tell me its name. The hacktivist did tell me its name. I'm trying to remember.
Its actual name?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Oh, it told us.
Marcus Smalls.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I know what he wants. Marcus Smalls wants the God machine to be taken down.
That's two. Now we need its soul, its story, and its essence.
Well, it kind of told me its story. I mean, it got arrested and it was held in prison because it was trying to hack the God machine.
You realize as you say it
It
that
was
you're
in the God.
missing the part of its story. Why was it trying to hack the God machine? You know that it wants to take the God machine down, but there's something else there. There's a part of its history with the God machine that you don't yet know.
We have to use time magic to get its
Yeah,
history.
I was about to say, can I do like a improvised fate time spell to look into its past without
So its past is in a timeline that you've unraveled. That timeline no longer exists. It's from the Salem went bad timeline. You're an Archmaster of Time.
Yeah, I was about to say, can I just reconstruct it temporarily to look into it and then?
The answer is it's an Archmastery spell. It will take quiescence and it will provoke paradox, which can be mitigated with mana. You're on the time ship at the moment.
Yeah. All right, I've never had to use quiescence before. So what would quantify?
Sacrifice.
Quiescence can be anything. And given what just happened, I would say that you could give up a portion of your time and miss the next mission, maybe. And that mission's time would be the quiescence, the sacrifice that you gain for being able to see back into a different timeline. Or you could find something from that timeline, someone from that timeline to sacrifice. No, that's wrong. Don't do that.
Or we
It
could
would be a wisdom sin. But the thing is, though, that timeline already doesn't exist. So would that? So I would just be sacrificing a person who would fall into the void anyway.
But there's other ways to do it without necessarily a sacrifice. Like the Rookery ended up engaging in a sort of a ritual. After the fact, we found out that this prophecy thing that we engaged with was providing quintessence for an Archmage. So we could set some chess pieces up on the board of reality, let some neophyte mages out loose into a maze. We can skip ahead in time so that it happens quicker for us than it does for them. And that's like the components of the ritual, and then going through those paces could generate quintessence.
If you set something up before the year 1961 and let it run, you will be able to find out the hacktivist history.
All right, let's do it. Let's do just that.
Wait, you're gonna put some baby mages in a maze?
Well, a metaphorical maze. It's not. We're gonna drop some breadcrumbs in front of them, and as they follow those trail of breadcrumbs, it's going to trace out a supernal rune that we can use to gather quintessence. It's all metaphorical, right? But
I have this horrible feeling that that is what happened to us.
it's probably happened to a lot of mages over the years.
Maybe. Who knows? But that sounds clever. I like it.
And it can't be just any ritual. It's got to be pointed at sort of what we're trying to achieve. So if we litter some breadcrumbs that are going to lead to like where the hacktivist got arrested or something.
You somehow feel like if you leave the breadcrumbs that lead to the moon landing, you've got to somehow connect the dots in a way.
And that'll give us what we need for that spell.
Okay. So I mean, yeah, there's little tidbits here and there in the story we just learned. So certainly plant tiny seeds like that through like the Toltec name of the crypt on the moon. Just sort of like that be splintered or sprinkled into the.
Oh. So
we could even just like create an ancient tablet or something and leave it in some dig that's some. I mean, the Mysterium's always digging for shit all over the world, right? Mm-hmm. Find some weird supernal tablet in some forgotten rune somewhere that sort of sets somebody off on a trail of breadcrumbs that leads to the moon. And I feel like bits, like pieces of that story, so they got to gather the breadcrumbs. So write out a tablet, make it look really old, split it into a dozen fragments, and then scatter them and let them bring them back together.
In fact, we can create an irresistible lure, as the story said. And at that point, it becomes 1961. So if we give the story up until that point.
Sorry, I just had a paradox headache that maybe us doing this is what leads to them recovering the bones in the first place. So we're time.
I mean, we're gonna recover them anyway, right?
Yeah,
that's the plan. So we'll sort of lead the breadcrumbs to them getting it, but we're just gonna sneak in there and grab it anyway. No problem. But in the meantime, we'll figure out their story.
What happens is, as you are leaving these things behind, you may encounter, you and Mona, on a mission, a younger version of the activist. And so we'll have that be the Parallax and Mona session. Perfect. And as all the pieces align, the crew will get back together, and we're going to the moon.
My old home.
Mona's like straining to like open her 12 other eyes. Like, I know these are a lot of eyes.
Yeah,
So
you can open
you
a
think
bunch
like
of eyes all
there's a
over you.
biblically accurate angel inside you, just you're trying to make it manifest?
Yes,
You
exactly.
have prime 6. You can make that manifest anytime you like. It
I can
just
give you
happens.
eyes.
It happens.
I mean, that's true.
I
You
just like
speak those words into
slowly,
reality.
I slowly turn my head to Parallax and I say, "Be not afraid."
Just a wee bit afraid.
Oh, oh. Maybe the angel in the story is actually you.
Oh no.
I mean, I love time and all that stuff, but sometimes it gives me a headache.
Mona is the fallen angel, maybe.
The hacktivist said something about you being a fallen angel.
Rewatching it. This story had so much in it.
Yes, I think all of you have gained 2 experience points in addition to any beats for aspirations or obsessions, which you might have coincidentally fallen through.
Yes.
There are some assumed adventures implied by your character's actions, so I think that for your characters, it will feel like some time has passed before the moon thing happens. Great times. Thank you all for playing. Especially thank you, Craig. It's really nice to have Wyrd with the Fools.
Thanks. I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you guys are enjoying it too.
Oh yeah. Totes.
Getting interesting.
Ziggurat. I've got so many like literary analysis notes going on in my head with this story.
I mean, this is really cool for me because Wyrd's whole legacy is about the idea of like in Celtic Scottish mysticism, there's the idea that everybody has a Wyrd, and that events in your past form things that are going to happen in the future, but things in the future are informed by what happened in the past, and it's all sort of this circular thing that they call a Wyrd. So all of these circular
That's
things that
cool.
we're maybe setting in motion because we experienced them ourselves and causing them to happen all really ties into her legacy. This is really interesting.
You would also definitely get a beat if that falls into any of your obsessions, of course. You'd also feel like you don't have to close the connections. Some of them need to be left open because paradox does need to continue to exist for the universe to exist.
Mhm.
Also, some of them can be closed, and you feel that by closing them, that would actually be quiescence.
Like extra quiescence over and above.
Quiescence for whatever spell would be, whatever fulfilling that loop would do, that effect would be what you bring into existence. And then more, because
Yeah, because if we all want to do 6 or 7 dot spells, we need a lot of quiescence or quintessence to do that. This is a wonderful Gordian knot to try and unravel.
Okay, well, let's all think about it for a great deal of time outside of game and become obsessed ourselves for beats. In the meantime, wonderful playing with you all, and we'll see you in the future.